Hello, and a very warm welcome back to Health Voices. I want to start with a number that might concern you. 3%. That is how much muscle mass the average person over the age of 60 loses every single year. It often shows up in your legs first. That feeling of stiffness in the morning, a little trouble on the stairs, feeling unsteady when you get up from a chair. But what if I told you that you could start to feel a real, noticeable difference in the lightness and readiness of your legs by tomorrow morning? Not in weeks, not in months, but in as little as 12 hours. That sounds almost too good to be true, which is why I am so thrilled to have our expert Dr. Morgan here today to explain it. Doctor, welcome. Is this 12-hour promise real?
It is real, Sarah, but we must be very clear about what it means. It is not a magic trick. It is biology. And to everyone watching, let me say this directly. We are not talking about rebuilding years of lost muscle overnight. That process takes time and consistency. But what we are talking about is reawakening the muscle you already have. We're talking about improving the deep underlying systems that allow your muscles to work properly, your circulation, and your inflammation levels. Every day in my clinic in Ohio, I see patients who feel that their legs are heavy, sluggish, and weak. They believe the problem is just lost muscle, but very often, the initial problem is poor delivery. The roads are clogged and the power is down. The good news is that with the right signal from the right food, you can begin to clear those roads and turn the power back on almost immediately. That is the difference you can feel by morning. The body is a miraculous gift from God, and it has a profound ability to respond when we give it what it truly needs.
So we are laying the groundwork for strength to return.
We are opening the door for it to return. And the feeling of that door opening, that sensation of lightness and readiness in your legs, can begin in just a few hours. So, if you want to know what that one food is, and the science behind how it works, I want you to type yes in the comments right now. Let's start this journey.
Doctor, I have to be honest with you, and I am sure many people watching at home are thinking the same thing. The idea of feeling a difference in just 12 hours sounds like a claim you would see on a late-night infomercial. Can you please break down the real science for us? How is this possible?
I am so glad you are asking that, Sarah, because the skepticism is healthy and the science is fascinating. There are two main reasons why your legs often feel heavy, tired, and weak as you age, and neither of them is muscle loss itself. The first reason is poor circulation. As we get older, our body's ability to produce a critical molecule called nitric oxide naturally declines. I want you to think of nitric oxide as the signal that tells your blood vessels to relax and open up. When you have plenty of nitric oxide, your blood vessels are wide and flexible, allowing a rich supply of oxygen-filled blood to flow down into your legs, feeding your muscles. But when your nitric oxide levels drop, your blood vessels become stiffer and narrower. The highway to your legs becomes a one-lane road with traffic. Your muscles are starved of oxygen. That is why they feel heavy and sluggish.
So it's a delivery problem. The fuel isn't getting to the engine efficiently.
Precisely. The second reason is chronic, low-grade inflammation. Think of inflammation as a kind of internal sludge. It makes tissues stiff, sore, and swollen. When your muscles and the connective tissues around them are inflamed, they cannot function properly. They feel tight, achy, and weak. So, the 12-hour miracle isn't about building a new engine overnight. It is about doing two things very quickly. Cleaning the sludge out of the system with powerful anti-inflammatories, and sending a signal to widen the highway by boosting nitric oxide. When you do that, blood flow to your legs improves, inflammation goes down, and your dormant muscle fibers get the oxygen and nutrients they have been craving. They wake up. You are not building a new house in 12 hours. You're simply flipping the circuit breakers back on in a house that already exists. You are restoring power.
That makes perfect sense. You're creating the right environment for healing and strength to begin.
You're creating the conditions for success. This is a universal biological process, but I know it is happening to individuals in specific places all over the world. It helps Sarah and me so much to know where our message is being heard. Please take a moment and just type your city and state or your country in the comments below. We would love to see where the Health Voices community is today.
Doctor, I have to be honest with you, and I am sure many people watching at home are thinking the same thing. The idea of feeling a difference in just 12 hours sounds like a claim you would see on a late-night infomercial. Can you please break down the real science for us? How is this possible?
I'm so glad you are asking that, Sarah, because the skepticism is healthy and the science is fascinating. There are two main reasons why your legs often feel heavy, tired, and weak as you age, and neither of them is muscle loss itself. The first reason is poor circulation. As we get older, our body's ability to produce a critical molecule called nitric oxide naturally declines. I want you to think of nitric oxide as the signal that tells your blood vessels to relax and open up. When you have plenty of nitric oxide, your blood vessels are wide and flexible, allowing a rich supply of oxygen-filled blood to flow down into your legs, feeding your muscles. But when your nitric oxide levels drop, your blood vessels become stiffer and narrower. The highway to your legs becomes a one-lane road with traffic. Your muscles are starved of oxygen. That is why they feel heavy and sluggish.
So it's a delivery problem. The fuel isn't getting to the engine efficiently.
Precisely. The second reason is chronic, low-grade inflammation. Think of inflammation as a kind of internal sludge. It makes tissues stiff, sore, and swollen. When your muscles and the connective tissues around them are inflamed, they cannot function properly. They feel tight, achy, and weak. So, the 12-hour miracle isn't about building a new engine overnight. It is about doing two things very quickly: cleaning the sludge out of the system with powerful anti-inflammatories and sending a signal to widen the highway by boosting nitric oxide. When you do that, blood flow to your legs improves, inflammation goes down, and your dormant muscle fibers get the oxygen and nutrients they have been craving. They wake up. You're not building a new house in 12 hours. You are simply flipping the circuit breakers back on in a house that already exists. You are restoring power.
That makes perfect sense. You're creating the right environment for healing and strength to begin.
You are creating the conditions for success. This is a universal biological process, but I know it is happening to individuals in specific places all over the world. It helps Sarah and me so much to know where our message is being heard. Please take a moment and just type your city and state or your country in the comments below. We would love to see where the Health Voices community is today.
Okay, doctor, you've explained the science behind why our legs feel heavy and how a change is possible in 12 hours by improving blood flow and reducing inflammation. So now, for everyone watching who typed yes in the comments, it's time for the answer. What is that first food? What is the recovery fuel you recommend?
The answer may surprise you, Sarah, because it is not a modern pill or a new superfood from an exotic land. It is one of the oldest, most deeply healing foods known to humanity. Bone broth.
Bone broth. I think most of us here in America associate that with getting over a cold or the flu, not with building leg strength.
That is the old image, and I want you and everyone watching to see it in a new light. Stop thinking of it as a soup. I want you to start thinking of it as liquid restoration for your entire body. When you properly simmer real bones from chicken, beef, or fish for a very long time, you are literally extracting the essential building blocks of your body's entire structural system. The first and most important of these is collagen. Collagen is the most abundant protein in your body. It is the scaffolding, the glue that holds everything together. It's in your skin, your tendons, your ligaments, your joints, and the connective tissue that runs through and around every muscle fiber. As you age, your natural collagen production plummets. That is why your skin sags, your joints ache, and your tissues become less resilient. Drinking bone broth is like delivering a fresh shipment of new scaffolding directly to your body's construction sites.
So you're literally drinking the raw materials for repair.
Precisely. And it's more than just the scaffolding. Bone broth is also incredibly rich in specific amino acids like glycine and proline. If collagen is the scaffolding, think of these amino acids as the expert construction workers who specialize in repairing that scaffolding. Glycine, in particular, is one of the most powerful anti-inflammatory agents you can consume. So, with every sip, you are simultaneously delivering repair materials directly to your joints and muscles, and you are calming the fires of chronic inflammation that make them feel stiff and sore. And modern science is now confirming the wisdom that our ancestors knew instinctively. There was a significant study published in the Journal of Clinical Nutrition and Metabolism that looked at older adults. When they consumed a collagen-rich broth after movement, they saw measurable improvements in leg soreness and walking confidence within just 24 hours. They felt more stable. They reported that their legs felt lighter and more secure.
For someone watching at home who has never made it, this might sound intimidating. What do you tell your patients at your clinic about how to start? And what about buying it from the store?
Excellent practical questions. If you are buying it, you must become a label detective. Look for brands that say slow simmered, pasture raised, or grass fed. The ingredients should be simple: bones, water, vegetables, and maybe some herbs. Avoid the cheap cartons of broth or stock on the soup aisle. They are often just salt water with artificial flavors. But I truly believe making it at home is best, and it is simple. All you need are real bones. You can ask your local butcher for beef marrow bones, knuckles, or even chicken feet. They are full of collagen. You put them in a large pot, cover them with water, add a splash of apple cider vinegar, which helps pull the valuable minerals out of the bones, and then you let it simmer on a very low heat for a minimum of 12 hours. 24 hours is even better. It is not a fast food, but it is real food, and your body knows the difference. I want to tell you about Jim, a 71-year-old retired factory worker from Wisconsin. He came to see me with what he called old man knees. They were stiff, they ached every morning, and they made loud creaking and popping sounds when he stood up. It took him a long time to get moving every day. He wasn't necessarily weak. He was just rusty. I had him make one simple change. I asked him to drink 1 warm cup of homemade bone broth every morning on an empty stomach before he had his coffee. After just 1 week, he called my office. He was so excited. He said, "Doc, I don't know what's in that stuff, but my knees feel lubricated. They don't make those awful sounds when I get out of bed anymore." By giving his joints the collagen and glycine they were starved of, we didn't just reduce his pain. we improved the fundamental mechanics of his legs. It's a beautiful thing, Sarah, the way God designed nature to provide these simple, whole food solutions. There is profound wisdom in using all parts of creation, just as our ancestors did. Nothing is wasted.
So the message for our viewers is clear. Bone broth isn't just for when you're sick. It's a daily tool for your joints, your muscles, and your recovery. Doctor, that information on bone broth is incredible. It's such a clear path for those who eat animal products. But I know many people in our Health Voices community are vegetarian or follow a more plant-based diet. They must be sitting at home wondering, what about me? Is there an alternative that can provide a similar rebalancing effect for them?
That is a beautiful and essential question, Sarah. And the answer is a resounding yes. For those on a plant-based path, the strategy is slightly different. The goal is not about rebuilding with collagen, but about rebalancing the entire system with one of the world's oldest and most respected fermented foods, real traditional miso.
Miso? Most of us just know that as the little soup that comes with a sushi dinner. How can that possibly compare to bone broth for leg strength?
It works through a different, but equally powerful, mechanism. It addresses the same core problems of inflammation and poor nutrient delivery, but it starts in a different place, your gut. There is a powerful connection in your body that scientists now call the gut-muscle axis. If your gut is inflamed, irritated, and unhealthy, your entire body will be in a state of chronic, low-grade inflammation. An inflamed body cannot efficiently repair or maintain muscle. It is too busy fighting fires. Real unpasteurized miso is a probiotic food. That means it is teeming with beneficial bacteria, enzymes, and yeasts that help heal the lining of your gut. A calm, healthy gut sends a powerful, all-clear signal to your entire body, which immediately lowers systemic inflammation.
So you're saying by healing the gut, you free up resources for the muscles to heal themselves.
You free up resources and you calm the entire nervous system. Fermented miso contains high levels of something called glutamic acid, which your body uses to create GABA. GABA is a neurotransmitter that acts like a brake pedal for your nervous system. It helps relax tense muscles and allows blood vessels to widen, improving circulation. So while bone broth delivers the raw materials for repair, miso creates the calm, anti-inflammatory environment where repair can happen. Let me tell you about Doris, a 79-year-old retired school principal from California. She had been a dedicated vegetarian for over 40 years. She came to me suffering terribly from that heavy leg feeling, nightly leg cramps, and constant bloating. She told me, "I feel puffy and weak, and I don't know why. I eat so healthy." The problem was, her gut was constantly irritated. I had her make one simple change. I instructed her to have one small bowl of traditional, unpasteurized miso soup every evening before bed. Not the instant powder from a packet, but real miso paste mixed into warm, not boiling water, with some soft tofu and a little seaweed. She returned a few weeks later, and the difference was plain to see. Her bloating was gone, but what amazed her was the feeling in her legs. She said, "They feel lighter. The cramping has stopped. I feel like my body isn't fighting itself anymore." By calming the inflammation in her gut, we allowed her body's own healing intelligence to get back to work. This gut-muscle connection is so vital. If you've learned something new from this, please type gut health in the comments to let us know this topic is important to you.
Doctor, it's just fascinating that we have these two ancient foods, bone broth and miso, that take different paths to achieve a similar, wonderful result, helping our legs feel stronger, lighter, and more alive.
Exactly. And it teaches us a profound lesson about health after 60. We are so obsessed in the West with building muscle, building strength, pushing harder. But you cannot build a strong, beautiful house on a toxic, inflamed foundation that is on fire. The first and most important step is always to heal the environment. Put out the fire of inflammation. Fix the delivery routes for nutrients. Then, and only then, can real, lasting strength be built on that solid ground.
That is an incredibly wise perspective, and it leads me to the final, and perhaps most important, point we need to make today. We have shared so much powerful information, and our deepest desire here is to empower you with knowledge you can use. But we must insist that you remember this. This conversation is for educational and informational purposes only. We are not your personal doctors. Dr. Morgan does not know your specific health history, the medications you are taking, or the conditions you are managing. So please treat this information as the starting point for a conversation with your own healthcare provider. Before you make any significant changes to your diet, especially when using therapeutically potent foods like these, please make that phone call. Talk to your doctor. They are your primary partners in managing your health. That is an essential reminder for us all. Thank you. Today, all of you have learned the incredible secret behind the 12-hour effect and discovered two powerful paths to support your body: bone broth for deep recovery and miso for systemic rebalancing. Dr. Morgan, on behalf of our entire community, thank you again for sharing this incredible, hopeful information with us today.
It is my honor. My final advice is simple. Whether you choose bone broth or miso, the principle is the same. You are sending a signal of healing to your body tonight. Listen for its answer tomorrow morning. It is never too late to begin. Your body is a forgiving and miraculous creation. Honor it. God bless.
And to all of you, our wonderful viewers, thank you for joining us. If you found this conversation valuable, please take a moment to give it a thumbs up, subscribe to our channel, and share it with a friend who deserves to feel strong and steady on their feet again. And finally, let us know in the comments. Which path are you excited to try first, bone broth or miso? Reading your stories and choices inspires our entire community. Thank you for watching.